Now, Busola, we saw volumes up about 47% today. In fact, it's a trend that we have been seeing for a while now. What is responsible for this continued increase in volumes on the floor?
Like you mentioned, volume was up by about 47% and it's been on the rise for some time now. I think by and large, the trading volume has been largely due to foreign investors who have been 80% of the total volume traded on a daily basis. For a lot of the foreign investors, there's still a lot of value in some of the names listed on the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and they see value in them, which explains why we're seeing the increased volume in the market.
Now, specifically GT Bank, that's a stock that has been actively traded in the past days. In fact, yesterday we saw a huge trade on this stock. We know it's a highly regarded stock, but I also noted that the stock price seems to be slightly dropping. What is the picture with this stock, Busola?
For GT Bank, since the release of the Q1 results, we showed ROE growing by over 31%, net interest income, PAT and PBT growing by over 30%. There have been a lot of value and a lot of interest in this stock. Though there might be some argument that it's trading at a premium compared to the peers in the banking sector, we feel that the quality and the resilience of the earnings has actually attracted interest from both the foreign clients and a few of some of the local clients in Nigeria.
But Busola, what then is a reason for the banking index dropping by 83 basis points today then? Can you give us a picture of what was happening on the floor with this index?
From the flows we saw on the trading floor today, outside the crosses that we saw in GT Bank, Zenith, Diamond Bank, we feel for a lot of the buyers who are out there right now, they're exercising a bit of caution in picking the volumes that they're willing to buy in the market compared to when the Q1 results were released and a lot of people were willing to buy and they became net buyers of the banking stocks. Volumes are becoming more available and people are beginning to exercise caution in terms of what they're willing to pay for some of those blocks.
Now, Busola, you did mention that foreign investors are responsible for volumes up 47% today. In fact, you said 80% of these volumes are foreign investors. However, I talked to William Uche, strategy officer at Diamond Bank this morning, and he did say foreign investors are seemingly more worried, especially with the GDP, Q1 GDP numbers coming out at 6.17%. Now, looking at the trends on the floor in terms of foreign investors, have you seen any changes in terms of demand? And what are you seeing, where exactly are you seeing demand coming from? Okay,
yes, I would agree that GDP has slowed down, but the foreign clients are still net buyers of most of the stocks on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. And they're not just the traditional names that we've known. We've been seeing some inflows from most of the US clients who are beginning to gain more interest and more understanding of the Nigerian Stock Exchange, and one or two of some of the foreign clients in the European market. So I would say that the foreign clients are still net buyers, even considering the fact that GDP is slowing down.
Busola, you mentioned that the Europeans are also part of one of the main investors in the Nigerian market. But how has the prevailing Eurozone crisis affected demand for Nigeria's stocks? I mean, how much of an impact has this crisis had on the market? Has it really had any impact, since you're saying that we're seeing them still very interested in Nigerian stocks?
Yes, I would say it's had some impact, most especially from the fund managers who are not Africa dedicated. For the Africa dedicated funds, they are more long-term in nature and they buy and hold in the long term. But for some of the portfolio managers who are not Africa dedicated, the risk appetite is a bit low. So for Nigeria, which falls under the frontier market, they'll rather just take out some money or reduce their exposure in Nigeria compared to what they would have done if the Eurozone crisis was not there.
Now, going back to some of what's going on, some of the trends that we're seeing on the floor, we know the MPR remain unchanged, and of course interest rates are high. So tell me, Busola, are pension fund administrators showing more interest in the market, in equities?
Not really. Truth be told, MPR has remained at 12%. It hasn't really dropped so much. If you compare a one-year Treasury bill, which is still at about 16%, compared to the minimum dividend yield, which is just below 9%. There's still more value in the money market compared to the capital market, though with the mark-to-market of bonds that a lot of them are beginning to engage in, we're beginning to see a bit of interest, but it's not up to the 25% guideline that they're required to invest in. So I would say, by and large, for the local client, they're still net sellers compared to buyers of the stocks on the Nigerian Stock Exchange.
Well, Busola, very quickly, can you give me some of your stock picks for the day and certainly for the week as well? What are some of the favorites on the floor?
We're still very bullish on First Bank, on GT Bank, on Zenith Bank, and some of the cement names.
Well, thank you so much, Busola, for giving us a picture on the market. That was Busola Jejelowo, an analyst with Stanbic IBTC Bank, giving us an update on the trends.